welcome back to my channel, my wonderful, beautiful people of the internet. Today's video, I am going to tell you about all the books that I read in January. I read quite a few books, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, and we're gonna get into that. Yeah, I'm just going to get right into it because there are a lot. Some I do not have physically with me, but I have a list here. I'm also not gonna try to give details about every single one, but there are some that I'm going to mention because the first one that I have on this list is Carrie Soto is Back. I thought this book was okay. I give it about 3 stars. And it was just very sports heavy. That's kind of why I didn't really connect with it. My favorite part of that book was the relationship with her and her dad. I think that was the highlight for me. So it was not my favorite, but it wasn't bad. It just wasn't for me. Then I read Anne in Manhattan, which was a modern retelling of Anne of Green Gables. I thought it was really cute, and I would say give it a 3-star rating. Then I read Joanna Gaines' new book, The Stories We Tell. I listened to that on audiobook. I liked it. It was good. Probably give it a high 3 stars. Then I listened to an audiobook about personalities called Reading People. This was okay. It had a lot of just information that I kind of already heard of before, so it was just okay. And then lastly, I listened to the audiobook for Fish in a Tree, which is a really good YA book, and it touches on just learning differences and how they're handled, and so I really did enjoy that book. But yes, let me get into the books that I physically have. So I did not plan this, but I read a lot of personal memoirs and books this go around. I have about 4, and I decided that I am not personally going to give a rating to these books, but I did want to talk about them because I think these are all books that I read and I was like, man, I can hats off to these people for sharing their stories. The first one I have is Unbearable Lightness by Portia de Rossi. This is basically her story about dealing with anorexia and just how that journey, her going through that. And I would say all these books are really good, by the way. I recommend if it's something you want to read about. I do think these were good. The one thing I will say is that it was hard to read when she would talk about her relationship with food and just kind of the obsessive nature of it, which is part of the disorder, but sometimes I did have to skip over it, and that's just it was kind of hard for me to read at times, but overall I really did like it. Then this one is written by 2 authors, Alana Burke and Melissa Kelly, and this is Full: Overcoming Our Eating Disorders to Fully Live, and I also really thought that one was great. I thought they approached it with candid nature, and I really did think it was well written. Then I have Modern Madness, which she talks about her bipolar disorder, the author does, and I really thought that gave really good insight to just the challenges that happen when you deal with bipolar disorder. And last but not least, I have Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing by Matthew Perry. I am a big Friends fan, and so I had to pick this up. I would recommend, he narrates the audiobook. It is really that's the way to go. And I really thought that he did a good job just being candid about his experiences. So those are the books that I am going to not give a rating to. Going from here, I'm going to start from my lowest rated book to my highest rated book, and we're just going to get into it because I have a lot to talk about. The first book I am going to say, we're going to start off. This was a DNF, and that is The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Goo. I got not that far, and basically what it came down to is the main character was just like super annoying, and I would like to think that possibly there was character development that happened in this, but I had so many other books I wanted to read. I was like, I have to DNF. I can't stand the main character. So that's that. Then I read Jonathan Franzen, I think that's how you say, Crossroads. I was not the biggest fan of this book. This is a very character-focused book, which I don't necessarily mind. I just didn't really enjoy the characters in this book. I definitely can see like where some people would like this book. I don't know. I just didn't really connect with any of the situations in this, so this unfortunately was not a favorite of mine. Then I have Dream Plan and Go, which this was a good book. This just talks about solo traveling specifically as a woman and just different tips and tricks. So this is one that I definitely am going to keep on hand for when I plan trips. And yeah, I think this was good for what it was, you know. Then this one was disappointing in a little bit of a way, and that was The Last House on Needless Street. So one of the things that I am learning about myself is I love books that are narrated by non-human characters, whether that's an animal or AI or something like that. I have some other books that I'm going to say like that are going to have that in it. This was always like, this is a very popular book that a lot of people read, I believe, last year, and this is not completely narrated by the cat, and that was a little disappointing. I thought that there was going to be a little more just like perspective from the cat. The other thing about this book is the ending was really confusing, and I had no idea what was going on, and the word that I want to use about it is it was like convoluted. That's the word I kind of want to like use. So unfortunately, I personally did not like this book. I definitely can see where some people liked it. This just was not for me. The Girls in the Stenhouse, I don't really have much to say about this. It was good. If you like Where the Crawdads Sings, I definitely would recommend this. It was kind of the same kind of atmosphere. Let me make sure I have these in the right order because... Okay. The Autistic Brain by Temple Grandin. This book was really good. It has just a lot of scientific detail. So like sometimes for me, I just have to be in the right frame of mind to read very scientifically heavy books. But if you want to like learn about like, I guess what you would call the neurobiology of autism, I definitely recommend this book. This is Between Shades of Grey. Ruta Sepetys is my favorite author, and I finally read this. Like, this is her most popular book, and like this is the last book I think that I read from her. I really enjoy it for the most part. I do think there was times where like I listened to it on the audiobook, and it is a young adult historical fiction, and sometimes that is, you know, I just say like sometimes it read like that, and so sometimes it was just hard to read, like, and also just given the nature of the book, it's about like the Lithuanian Holocaust, but I really liked it. There's also, I don't have it here, but there's also a graphic novel adaptation if you're interested in that. How You Lose the Time War. I definitely feel like I want to reread this at some point. I kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I need to reread this to have a fully formed opinion, but it's really interesting and it's like told in the form of letters, so I thought that was pretty cool. Then I read my first Joan Didion, The Year of Magical Thinking, which touches on her grief of losing her husband and her daughter, and it's just kind of her working through that. And so I definitely would recommend this if you are going through similar things. I think this book would be cathartic, and I think she writes with candor and honesty, and that's not easy to do. So you know, I thought that was a really good read. Then I have one that I have seen so many mixed reviews, and that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I enjoyed this. I thought it was simple, and it kind of reminds me a little bit, just a little bit of like Mitch Albom, who's one of my favorite authors, like with a little bit of magic, like, or time travel or whatever. It does kind of remind me of him. So I think that's probably like subconsciously why I had liked this book so much. But I ended up enjoying this. Then I have a nonfiction book, In Praise of Past, by this person. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that. This is a really interesting story about, or like, not story, but book about like just how we don't, as a society, like take the time to just like go for walks and enjoy nature, and we always have to be getting somewhere. Sometimes we just don't walk to just enjoy and get like take the time to do that, and appreciate the paths that are all around us. And so I thought this was really interesting. I love reading about like niche topics like that, so I would recommend this. Then this one is a simple tale in theory, but it's one that I thought was really good. It is The Phone Booth at the Edge of the World. This is basically about a phone booth that people go to talk about things with their loved ones. And this is a Japanese novel, so it touches on to like the tsunami in I think 2011. And so it also is like discussing like the grief as a nation that they go through. So that was really good. I have 3 more. I have another Ruta Sepetys book that I read this month, and that is Out of the Easy. To be honest with you, I was like, not that I was going into this thinking I wouldn't like it, but I really enjoyed this. It takes place in New Orleans, and the main character of Josie in this book, I absolutely loved her, and she is determined, and I think this is probably my second favorite Ruta Sepetys, my first being Fountains of Silence. Yes, I would recommend this. Then I have my top 2 favorite books that I read, not just in January, but I feel like these are my like just favorite books like of all time. And the first one that I have that I absolutely loved is Clara and the Sun. This is about an artificial friend, which is an AI. She narrates the story, and she is purchased, I guess, by a girl that has chronic illness / disability. And what I absolutely loved is, like I said, I love books that are narrated by non-human characters, and just her insight on like it touches on companionship and how we try to remedy loneliness. And I just thought that this book touched on this topic so amazingly, and I just love this book so much, and I kind of want to reread it and read his other books. So yes, I absolutely love this book. And then last but not least, my favorite book of January, and honestly one of my favorite books period, A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman. This book, the ending, and like the movie, I was crying throughout the whole movie and I didn't even care. This book just pulled at my heartstrings, and it was one of those books too that I felt like this person was real, because just the way that Fredrik Backman writes his character, I just fell in love with him. Like, not in a romantic way or anything, obviously, but my heart went out to him. And if you've read it or seen the movie and you know the ending, you know. Yes, you know. But those are all the books that I read in January. Let me know what you read in January in the comments below, or what you're planning to read in February. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!